51 matches across 11 venues in 11 different countries. Yes, folks, it's Euro 2020 time. Delighted to be joined for the first of our Euro specials, matchday previews. Our anti-post previews are already out, by Mr. Adrian Clarke at the top right of the screen if you're watching us now live on this Wednesday morning, and by the one and only Mr. Mark O'Haire from We Love Betting, who is all set for Euros. Mark, I checked out your preview on We Love Betting. It was an absolute treat. Mate, you're ready to go. You're even watching, just to warm yourself up, you're watching South American football as well, just to get yourself going. And you're muted, Mark. I think, Mark, you're muted. It's a good start, mate. It's a good start.
I am sorry. That's my fault.
Sorry, man. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. It's been a long time coming, or it's felt like it, but this last week seems to come very quickly. So, I can't believe it starts on Friday night. Really looking forward to it.
Adrian Clarke, you all set, mate? All ready to go?
Big time. Yeah, look, I'm bored already. It's how long is it since we had proper football? About a week, but I'm just I'm over it, and I want to see Euro action now. I'm excited. Sun's out. Feels like we're ready for a tournament, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. And like I said, we covered the anti-post angles last week. You can check that out on your preferred podcast app, on our YouTube channel, and also at insights.matchbook.com. We've got a full list of back-to-lay strategies. There's a cheat sheet for the anti-post preview, and also for this preview post-recording, we will have a cheat sheet as well, because there's 10 games. But just on the anti-post angle, the lads had some pretty good angles on that, so I would encourage you to check that out. But I'd also encourage you to maybe check out our new sign-up offer at Matchbook that we have for the Euros. It's a pretty decent one, and it's a 20% boost on your winnings for the outright market throughout the whole tournament. So if you're like me, you'll probably have a couple of bets similar to the Grand National. You know, you'll get enamored with one team, but generally speaking, as the tournament creeps up, you'll get a couple of others. And even as the tournament progresses, you're going to have a few positions, and your 20% boost on the winnings is taken from the winnings of that full market. Use the bonus code INSIGHTS2020 when signing up at Matchbook. And like I said, even if you want to open your account on Sunday, that will still apply thereafter. All right, gentlemen, let's get into some games, shall we? There's a lot there. There's 10 games, so we're going to rattle through these. And like I said, if you do miss one of these tips or any of the tips on this, they'll be up on insights.matchbook.com. First game, Friday night, Turkey, Italy in the Stadio Olimpico. I think Turkey are actually the home team here, which obviously makes a hell of a lot of sense. But let's take a look at the betting currently as we have it at matchbook.com. 8.8 Turkey. Wow. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. 1.54 you can back Italy. The draw available at 3.94. Turkey getting a goal start at 1.97, and you can back Italy on that market at 1.94. And the total is a middling one for the opening fixtures, 2.25, and that's 1.85, favouring towards the under. And okay, gentlemen, where we start here? Adrian, talk to me. You tipped up, spoiler, you've tipped up Turkey in your outright preview. But what are you thinking there? Because they're a very well organised team, and I wouldn't as much say they're flying in under the radar in this tournament, because they have been kind of talked up a bit. But do you give them a chance on Friday night in Rome?
I give them an outside chance. I think the odds reflect that. They're probably a bit too long, Turkey. I think they're a better side than those starting odds suggest. And yeah, I did flag them up as a side that to keep your eye on, long shots that can certainly progress in the competition, and I believe that. But I still make them big underdogs in the opening game. Obviously, Italy, home advantage, and I've just been really impressed with Italy under Roberto Mancini. Clear identity, really good team ethic. Everyone seems to be buying into him as a coach. I mean, they're really impressive in qualifying. They've had 8 straight wins as well, with clean sheets to boot. Yeah. They're in imperious form coming into the tournament. Turkey are solid, only lost one of their last 13 themselves. So you can see why Turkey plus a goal is definitely a punt of interest. But for me, I would lean towards the unders, under 2.25 goals. I think this will be tight, 1.847. But I still think Italy will win. So for me, my top pick for this game would be Italy and under 3.5 goals, which is the right side of even money at the moment. I think Italy are likely to win a very closely fought, low-scoring match.
All right. First game, first show of the Euros. Mark, you're going to disagree with Adrian on this one. I think you're more in favour of Turkey with the start. They're getting a goal start, but I think you wanted to kind of look at maybe 1.25, that kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian's right. Italy are the most likely winners, but that's reflected in the odds. And I have called on Turkey a fair bit, actually, in the past sort of 10 days or so. And, a lot's been made of their qualifying performances, but that was a long time ago. They've been quite erratic defensively since then. A lot of that's down to Demiral not being playing in centre back. But I did watch their games against the Netherlands and Norway back in March and kind of revisited them as well. And they were very good. They were very clinical, though, as well. And certainly with the eye test under data, they were a touch fortunate in both of those games. And then you're going kind of failed to beat Latvia a couple of days later, one of the worst teams in Europe as well. So you don't always know what you're going to get with Turkey, but this is a tournament opener. They should be, primed, ready, organised. And I love Italy. I love the squad. I love the potential starting 11. I love Roberto Mancini. But, you talk about the long unbeaten run. Well, who have they actually beaten in that sequence? Who have they actually played in that sequence of any note? Portugal and Netherlands, really. And they won one of those 4 games across 2 Nations League campaigns. So I think we've got 2 very good coaches, 2 very capable teams. Tournament openers are rarely high-scoring affairs, as Adrian says as well. So for me, if there's going to be a sort of a dearth of goals, there's an opportunity to get the underdog on side, and you can get, 169, almost 170 on Turkey plus a goal and a quarter, which would pay out a profit even if Turkey lost by exactly 1 goal. If you did want Italy on side, I'd like Adrian's angle. Italy to win by exactly 1 goal also would appeal at a decent price. But I thought Turkey with the start was absolutely fair enough. I think it's back to 1980 was the last tournament opener won by a team, won by 2 goals or more by either team. So there's been a kind of a long history of kind of tight opening games. And I'd oppose goals and would like to have the underdog on side with a big start.
Okay, both showed your work there, so I'm kind of maybe going to make an executive decision here. The way, if I'm seeing both your angles there, maybe the way in a collective sense is maybe under 2.25 or 1.85 at Matchbook. Mark, can I get a tentative vote of confidence for you on that one? But I just want to kind of split the difference there. Under 2.25 is at 1.85. Happy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Ish, yeah. Good man. And we're not forcing it this early, which is good. I like to see that. At 1.85 is the bet there. So next game we're going to look at Wales versus Switzerland, and going all the way to the Caspian Sea for this one. Baku. Current betting on Matchbook.com. Wales 4.1, Swiss at 2.22. Draw available at 3.12. Wales getting a quarter goal start. Good odds against there, 2.05, and the total is 1.75. Jeez, guys, this is a long time since we've seen 1.75. We do a lot of League One and League Two football. We haven't seen too many 1.75s, and it's obviously favoured towards the under there at 1.82. All right, Mark, I kind of touched on it there. Unders all day in Baku. I'm thinking that's what you're thinking there.
Yeah, I don't really like going this low on the goal lines, but I think under 2 goals has to be under consideration, knowing that 3 or more is the only way you bust your bet. So opening round of group games in the Euros feature an average 2.15 goals. 66% of those go under 2.5 goals. I just think this one is all set up really for that. Wales might not have many superstars at the back, but they're very well organised. They're very obdurate, have been for quite some time. They'll be happy to see possession, play on the counter-attack. With the pace that they've got in forward areas and the match winners they do have, I think they'll trust the system. And if you go back over the last 3 years, their matches have averaged just 2 goals per game. 45% of those have gone under 1.5. And they've kept clean sheets in half of those 20 competitive games, which is obviously really, really strong, despite kind of opposition being of varying quality. I talked about Switzerland in the sort of pre-tournament being one I'm kind of keen to oppose. I think they're a little bit tired. I don't think they've evolved a huge amount. I still think they're reliant on the same old players, and the same old issues still occur there, particularly in forward areas. So I just think tactically, I think this suits a low-scoring game. I think Wales are organised. I think Switzerland are more than competent at keeping this game quite tight as well. And that's why I'd be kind of opposing goals, even if the goal line's pretty tight.
It is tight. That line you mentioned there, the flat 2, is available at 1.78 currently on Matchbook. Very backable price, and I would suggest it's probably one that's going to be backed further under. Adrian, you're more or less in agreement with Mark on this one.
Yeah, it's not going to be a high-scoring game. I'm pretty sure of that. It's in Baku. It's in the middle of the day. It's going to be hot. And I think hot conditions are more likely to produce a slow, ball fest. Let's be honest. Yeah, I agree with Mark on Switzerland. their form on paper is good coming into the tournament, but yeah, it's the same old. Wales have got a lot of talent, haven't they? With Bale and Brooks, James, Wilson. These are all potential match winners, but I think it'll be cagey. One alternative angle, if you're looking for a bit more value, because I can see a 0-0 draw or a 1-0 draw here. What about the draw and under 2.5? You can stretch the odds there to 3.54.
Yeah, that's a big price, isn't it? Yeah,
I think that's I think it's something I might try out myself.
Yeah,
you just get that little bit more value, a lot more value than simply going for the unders. So obviously 1-0 either way beats you, as does 2-0 either way. But yeah, I fancy 0-0 or 1-0.
Yeah, and that was actually a short price order. It's just 3.54. Just one comment here, and it is a good point here from Peter's Punts. Round one games are usually very tight. Nobody wants to be practically out after one game, and it's very important in this tournament to be aware that 16 teams, only 8 teams can't qualify for the last 16. So obviously, you just don't want to lose your first game. Get the point and kind of move on.
That, so I think it's an interesting point because I did some research earlier in the week about the opening group games, not just in the Euros since 1996, but also looking through each competition. And you would have thought with 24 teams, the quality would dilute and potentially the goals per game would increase in 2016 with the number of teams competing. It actually went down, which really kind of surprised me, which maybe is just a further indicator that teams know they don't need to win, they don't need to lose this opening game. So it kind of is an extra warm-up for them, if you like, and then they'll kind of put the foot down in games 2 and 3. I don't know, just something quite interesting. I thought the goals per game was right down in 2016.
Yeah, definitely one to be aware of. Right from Baku, we go to Copenhagen, and it's Denmark and Finland. Obviously, Denmark very much the home side in this one. At the Parkin, Denmark 1.48. You can back Finland at 9.6. The draw available 4.25. Finland getting a full goal start on the Asian handicap. Good odds against their 2.08. And 2.25 is the total, and it's shaded towards the under. And Adrian, both yourself and Mark are kind of bullish on Denmark's chances of, possibly getting towards a quarter-final spot in this tournament. And the angle here is pro Denmark, but they're not gonna tear up the trees here. They'll win, but they'll do enough.
That's my feeling on it. Look, Finland haven't won in 6. They're really reliant on Pukki, and he's been out for a while, hasn't he? They did beat France, didn't they, Finland? So that's sort of one anomaly there. But the Danes are strong. At home, particularly, I think they've won 9 of their last 11 in Denmark, and they've kept clean sheets in 7 of those 9 wins. So for me, this has Denmark to win with a clean sheet written all over it. Denmark and both teams to score is at 2.08 at the moment, which I think is a very reasonable price. I wouldn't envisage the Finns causing them too many problems. They're just very, very solid down the spine, Denmark, and everyone's labelling them their dark horses now, and they've jumped on that bandwagon. So maybe they're not even a dark horse now, but Denmark, I believe, are going to be strong, and I suspect they get off to a decent, solid start. Yeah,
I'd suggest they're probably one of those back to lay angles like we mentioned last week. You back them now 33.0, and you might get them maybe it's 15 or 16 to lay back later on the tournament. Mark, a similar angle for you. You're pro Denmark, but you're slightly coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah, I think you've got to be pro Denmark the way they've played over the last 3-4 years. The best 11 is fit. They've been in decent form for the national team for a long period of time. Got a knack of getting good results, particularly against teams outside of the elite as well. And as Adrian says, Pukki's fitness is he going to be 100%? He's only played the last 30 minutes of Finland's latest warm-up game as well. Has he been rushed back? Possibly. Finland also came through a reasonably soft section. The likes of Bosnia and Greece really blew up in that area. They did play well. They played on the counter-attack, ground out a few 1-0 wins at home. But I think they'll come with a defence-first attitude and try and plan the break again. Whether they've got the nous to kind of unlock this Danish defence, I'm not too sure. Denmark did have the best defence of all qualifiers since the last World Cup. They've lost twice in 90 minutes in competitive football for well over 3 years. I don't anticipate it being a run-over win, but I think Denmark to win an under 3.5 goals at, 1.93 on Matchbook at the moment is absolutely fair enough. You've then got the 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 and the 2-1 on your side, which is for the top 6. scorelines in the correct score outcome. So yeah, I quite like that angle, but Adrian's is very similar and slightly bigger price as well.
Yeah, slightly bigger. But I think for this one, just in case, Adrian, if if Denmark are 2-0 up and Pukki gets a poxy goal towards the end or whatever, I think we'll just take Denmark to win on the 3.5. But look, they're practically the same bet, really. So let's move on. Saturday's nightcap is in St. Petersburg as Belgium are the home team here. They're not really. 1.75, you can back Roberto Martinez's side. Russia 5.5. 3.76 is the draw. You can back Russia with 3/4 of goal start on the main Asian handicap and matchbook of 1.95, and the total is 2.25, shading towards the over. All right, Mark, it's now or never for Belgium, surely, in this competition in general. Can they get off to a good start in St. Petersburg on Saturday night?
Yeah, I expect them to. There are a couple of concerns. De Bruyne doesn't look like he's going to be made available to play. Eden Hazard's own fitness is still a doubt. This is in St. Petersburg, so it is an away game as well.
Yeah.
But you still expect them to get the job done. After all, they've won 20 of the last 23 competitive games since the last World Cup. Hazard has barely played in those either, and they've averaged 3.35 goals per game in that sequence. So they did play Russia in 2 qualifiers, beat them 4-1 and 3-1. And I think this Russian team has been on decline since the World Cup, even before the World Cup. I think they played well above themselves in the World Cup and probably at the right side of the green on a few of those games, particularly Spain in the knockout. 3 years ago, was it now? So, yeah, their weakness and there's worries in defence, really, which kind of concern me about Russia. They've got something going forward in Golovin and Miranchuk and an over-reliance on Zuba in attack. But, Belgium don't lack physicality in defence, do they? So they should be capable of looking after them. Russia don't have the pace unless he chooses... the name escapes me now, the Valencia boy, with plenty of pace, made an impact at the last World Cup. But apart from that, I struggle to see where Russia are really going to hurt Belgium. Witzel's fitness is obviously in doubt as well, which is a big miss in central midfield. So something to bear in mind too. But I just think Belgium, I think even at the win price right now, which I think is trading around 175, is absolutely fair enough. But I was being greedy. I was going to add over 1.5 goals into the mix because every single one of Belgium's games since the World Cup competitively have gone over 1.5 goals. 74% of those have gone over 2.5 goals as well. Russia's games have been quite goal-laden as well, but I just think Belgium should get the job done. I'd be surprised if they didn't win, even if this game's in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and Mark touched on their age, and it seems to be the theme with Belgium is that those games, they do tend to go over. They can score plenty, but that defence is not the greatest anymore.
Roberto Martinez, isn't it? That's his way, and this Belgian defence is old and slow. But Russia. Yeah, we'll see what they've got in their armoury. They do score goals. I think they've scored in 6 of their last 7, but they're rubbish at the back, Russia. 3 clean sheets in 13 games. And Belgium, by the way, have let in goals in 9 of their last 14 matches. So they're anything but watertight. So you can see both teams scoring potentially here. No, I think Mark's bet is a good one. Belgium and the game to have over 1.5 goals. If you want to be greedier, and I might be, you can go to Belgium and over 2.5 goals, and that's 2.97. So you get a nice leap in terms of the price. And I was also going to say that Belgium on the nose are quite backable here.
They are quite backable.
I think the fact that they spanked them 4-1 in qualifying and then 3-1 at home, that will give them a lot of confidence. Even without De Bruyne and Hazard, it's Lukaku. Lukaku's the one for me. Lukaku up against this Russian defence feels a little bit, like men against boys, but we'll see how it pans out.
Cheryshev was the name I couldn't think of, but he's not been a first choice for Russia for quite some time. So, without his pace to really sort of trouble that Belgian defence, you think that Belgium those centre backs will be able to handle Zuba. I know he's a bit of a handful. He's very physical, but I worry about Russia. Yeah,
if Lukaku carries in any of his Interform this year, these guys could be in for an absolute tough one. Let's take Belgium to win an over 1.5, and we're not going to be as greedy as you, Adrian, on this one at 2.15. Just want to get some winners on the board as we head into next week's show. That kind of stuff. I'm being greedy in that sense, but again, would not turn anyone off that. I think it's 2.94 currently in Matchbook. Adrian's one at 2.5. So yeah, let's go with Mark's just at 1.5, 2.15. All right, Adrian, I'm going to stay with you for this one. England, Croatia. Sunday, Wembley. England currently available at 1.72. The back of Matchbook.com, you can back the Croatians at 5.8. The draw available at 3.76. Croatia getting a 3/4 of goal start at 1.96, and the total is 2.25 and slightly shaded towards the under. Adrian, I think you expect that this could be a bit of an open game.
Well,
you know,
yeah.
you
I'm not
like
saying
the
open.
both teams to score angle, though.
I like both teams to score here. Purely based on, I mean, if you look at England's friendlies, you wouldn't say that, would you? They were pretty dull. Having said that, England didn't look that convincing at the back, did they? And the goalkeepers had to bail England out on several occasions. So that's against Austria and Romania. So for me, Croatia obviously have got a lot more quality in forward areas. And I'm just looking at England's record at Wembley, which is dynamite, isn't it? I mean, very, very good at Wembley Stadium. Obviously, they lost to Denmark. But aside from that, been generally strong. They've conceded to most of the best teams that they've faced at home. They conceded to Belgium. They conceded to Poland, to Denmark, to Croatia, to Kosovo, to Spain, all since the last World Cup at Wembley Stadium. And yeah, I just don't have very, very much faith in the back unit at the moment, which, let's face it, hasn't been used in the friendlies, which I found a little bit strange from Gareth's point of view. His team hasn't played in the friendlies, so that for me is a slight worry. So no, I think Croatia more than capable of scoring a goal here. Still fancy England to get at least a score, draw, or a victory. But that going forward, we know all about England's quality. You don't need me to wax lyrical about that. So yeah, for me, it's got a 1-1 or a 2-1 England written on this one. I certainly wouldn't be backing England to win this to nil.
Mark, I don't think you have any major lean here, but anything to add to what Adrian had there?
Well, England at 1.72 doesn't really appeal to me. They were sort of 1.8, and I'd need that kind of to be interested. They were around that price when they met Croatia in the Nations League back in November 2018. If you look at the 11s that day, Croatia will be fairly similar to that this weekend, whereas England fielded the likes of Eric Dyer, Fabian Delph and Ross Barkley. So they've undoubtedly upgraded, but this isn't a full Wembley either. So you need to take that into consideration into the price as well. So Croatia have regressed, England have progressed in the past 3 years. Defensively, I think Croatia can be got at, not just in terms of individually, but also systematically as well. But yeah, Adrian made a good point there about Southgate not fielding his expected 11 or system for this game, which would be a concern. Also, with all the players away on Champions League duty as well, they've not had a huge amount of time in camp, and that's always a slight concern coming into a curtain raiser, because there's an opportunity there for the underdogs. But I don't rate Croatia as highly as some people do, but I'd need England to be at least 1.8 to be sort of considering it.
Yeah, on both teams to score, Sally, it's a good price as well. That's part of the reason that was attractive to me. Yeah, 2.23. So yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose it's only 3 years ago, but I suggest we're not getting the same Croatian team that we got in Russia. All right, next game on Sunday comes from Bucharest. Get me excited for this one, guys. Austria and North Macedonia, but I know I'm going to get excited when they bet. 1.7, you can back the Austrians here. North Macedonia, 6.4. Could you be backing Austria at 1.7? Seriously. The draw available at 3.72. North Macedonia getting 3/4 of goal start, 2.0. You can back that. And the total, not as surprising, is a low enough one at 2, and it's 1.83, which is 5 to 6 in fractional terms to the over. Adrian, I'm going to the pub on Sunday for the English game. It's my first time being in a pub in about 7 months, and it'll be outdoors. But give me a reason to stay out for the second game. Come on, we have to find a bet, please. Honestly, man, if I have to watch this without a bet, mate, it's not going to be good.
I'll definitely be heading home after the England one. Sorry, I'll watch it though. I'll watch it in my own time. But yeah, Austria and North Macedonia. I'm not expecting a classic. It's a hard game to call because North Macedonia obviously created great headlines when they beat Germany, but really it's the only time they've played a higher ranked nation. They often end up playing smaller teams and teams that aren't at the Euros, so it's very hard to gauge where they're at. What I will say is that they've got attacking threats. I think they've got some decent players, Pandev, Trajovski, Elmas of Napoli. These guys can score goals. And they've got the passion. They've got that they are going to be hungry, really, really fired up to deliver a proud performance for their nation. And this isn't a tough opener, is it? Austria are bang average. They're a bit boring. They're mediocre pretty much from back to front. I give them a chance here, and for that reason, my pick, given the long odds that North Macedonia are on, North Macedonia plus 3/4 of a goal on the Asian handicap comes out at even money, and I like them with a head start here because just can't see Austria thrashing them. I think a draw is extremely likely here.
Mark, I know coming into this you didn't have a major opinion, but I think you might be able to get on board with Adrian's pick here, 3/4 goal North Macedonia.
Yeah, I'd echo everything Adrian said, really. Austria seem to have a lot of the tools required to be a decent team, but I'm not sure they've got the coach in charge to bring the best out of them. There's always question marks over where to field their best players and what system to play. And fans back home are very pessimistic about their prospects with Franco Foda in charge. And they possess loads of Bundesliga experience, but we've not seen enough evidence to suggest that they're good enough to sort of warrant to be putting North Macedonia aside with room to spare. So I do expect the underdogs to cause them plenty of problems. Adrian mentioned a few players there. Bardi as well from set pieces is a real weapon. Had a great season in La Liga again. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Macedonia got on the score sheet here, which is around 1.91 for them just to score. But also, as Adrian said, if you want to get the underdogs on side, then the Asian handicap is the right way to go about it.
Yeah, personally speaking, just looking at this without coming at it from a major amount of knowledge, but like just knowing more about Austria as opposed to North Macedonia, they just seem to be a bit of a lay here at 1.7, which you can do at Matchbook.com. All right, Sunday night's nightcap is the Netherlands and the Ukraine. And I would suggest this is going to be a sneaky good game, potentially anyway. Mark, I'll come to you first for this, but let's take a look at the betting. Netherlands, you can back just under 1.66. You can back Ukraine at 6.7. 3.78 is the draw. Ukraine getting a 3/4 of a goal start on the Asian handicap at 2.09. And the total, it's a bit higher, this one, at 2.25. And it's even money towards the over. Mark, yeah, home advantage here for Frank de Boer's side, but what are you making of this one? There seems to be a lot of kind of warm talk in Ukraine the last couple of days that they could potentially make it tougher to Dutch here.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think Group C is actually quite interesting, and I think there is an opportunity for a short price favourite to get chinned, whether it's this weekend or in the groups itself. And Netherlands obviously would be top of the agenda there because this Ukraine side are decent. We talked about them as a back-to-lay opportunity, and this opening game has plenty of potential to be not just watchable, but see this Ukraine team really show the Netherlands what they're capable of. And I just can't really trust the Dutch with de Boer in charge. It does look like he's finally seen sense and brought Wout Weghorst into the starting team. He's played him in the central striker role in the 2 warm-up friendlies with Depay playing a little bit more withdrawn. But going forward, I think Holland will offer plenty. It's just, I think they've scored at least twice in their last 7 now across all internationals. But, since that shift to be a bit more or a bit less pragmatic, which is what the Dutch supporters demanded, their performances defensively have come under question then. Obviously, Van Dijk's missing. They've still got 2 quality centre-halves in De Ligt and De Vrij, but it's 3 clean sheets and 9. Those came against Gibraltar, Georgia and Latvia, which doesn't say a huge amount about the Dutch defensive system right now under de Boer. So Ukraine have come on leaps and bounds in 5 years. Shevchenko's really sort of cultivated a well-balanced squad. The midfield trio is very capable. They've got ability in forward areas. Do still have question marks about their centre-halves. So, yeah, I would expect the Dutch to score, but the Ukraine have scored in 18 of the last 20 games now as well. So both teams to score at 2.25 is of interest. And, yeah, Ukraine +1 on the Asian handicap is 175. So you need the Dutch to win by 2 goals or more to see that bet lose, which was quite interesting. But, I do fancy Ukraine to get on the score sheet in this one.
Adrian, I think you're coming at this from a similar angle as well. You expect this one to be potentially high scoring.
Yeah, good stats from Mark. Got similar ones here. I mean, overs have come in. Over 2.5 has come in 6 of Holland's last 7 games. They've scored in their last 9. They're always worth a goal. Depay, who was one of my selections for top goal scorer potentially, comes in good nick, doesn't he? So yeah, I think Holland are capable of scoring here. But yeah, Ukraine, absolutely the same. I think they kicked off their World Cup qualification campaign with 3-1 all draws, including against France. So that they're always worth a goal, but certainly not really got that clean sheet mentality. And they don't have a brilliant record, Ukraine, against the top sides, apart from that France result. I think they've beaten Spain, but not much else. So, and they've been beaten by some decent teams over the last few years. So yeah, look, I think an open game, entertaining game. My pick, even though I like both teams to score, my pick would be over 2.25, because I think that line's a little bit low and the price is good. Even money on over 2.25. I'd fancy that.
All right. Yeah, very similar angles. Adrian, I'm going to give you the nod in this one. Over 2.25, like you said, at even money at Matchbook.com. I did like your Memphis Depay pick for the top goal scorer, but a little birdie told me to back about Weghorst for top Dutch goal scorer. The guy's on the screen there during the week. So we're hopeful that he's going to start and get a terrific season, obviously, with Wolfsburg. So yeah, hopefully that will come up. Sure, look, whatever. It was a good price mark, wasn't it? So we'll take that one. All right, let's move on. Yeah, exactly. Well gone now, of course. Scotland, Czech Republic is next up. And I feel this is obviously a game that Scotland are going to majorly target. And Adrian, I'll start with you first for this one, but let's take a look at the betting currently. They're good outsiders here, 3.1. The Czech Republic at 2.76, 3.02. You can back the draw. Scotland draw now bet at 2.06, and 2 is the total, flat 2, and a very evenly matched market at 1.96. All right, Adrian, this has to be it for Scotland. Hampden Park. If they're going to get 3 points in this group, you would suggest that Steve Clarke has definitely circled Czech Republic this one.
Yeah, you have to. If you're in Scotland's shoes here, you think, right, this is the one. This is the one that we want to win. We want to get off to a good start. If they win here, they can pretty much guarantee qualification almost into the next phase. So it's a great opportunity, in my opinion, for Scotland in front of fans at Hampden to go out there and do the business. They're unbeaten at home in 8 games, Scotland. So like, the confidence shouldn't be too low. They've got players in good form for their country. McGinn is got a great goal record of late. Shea Adams has come in and been welcomed into the fray and he's delivering goals. They've got good players: Gilmore, McTominay, Robertson, and Tierney. These are decent footballers, and I think
Dykes.
Huh? Lyndon Dykes. Wasn't sure about him.
Come on, Adrian.
There's reaching like
Adrian, you can spot a player. Good old Lyndon's worth a goal.
I like his spirit. I like his spirit.
I love that diplomacy. It's not like you, mate. You normally let him have it.
No, I'm not going to hammer Lyndon Dykes because he is capable, and I've seen that, but just a bit. More miss than hit is where I'll leave it there with Lyndon Dykes. Look, Czech Republic, you look at Souček, obvious threat, isn't he? Good goal record for club and country. But I just feel that, and they're quite a direct team, the Czech Republic, I just feel that the Czech style might suit Scotland. I think they're well equipped to handle aerial threats and that kind of approach. And they've got, as I've said, they've got players that can score a goal. I don't think it's going to be a hugely high scoring game, but I think Scotland have a chance. I liked Scotland plus a quarter, but that's been nibbled in. It's a bit short at the moment, Scotland plus a quarter. So the draw no bet market is of interest to me, given that they're unbeaten at home in 8. That's 2.05, I think, last time I looked. Or Scotland on the nose at over 3 is also attractive in my opinion. Obviously a small play because, we don't expect a lot to be between the sides, but I think Scotland can do this.
Mark, what do you think? And I think you're in agreement on this one, yeah?
Yeah, I think this is one of the games I'm most looking forward to out of the slate of games we're going to talk about because there's so much on the line. It's a huge magnitude to this match. There's an undercurrent too because the Czech centre-half Kudela, who's suspended for this competition for racist abuse, came in the game against Rangers. So there's an undercurrent there which could be kind of at play here. 2 teams who are quite well adept at mixing it, quite physicalities on both teams from set pieces too. I'm really looking forward to this one. But yeah, I do think Scotland are underrated. I think they're underrated in Group D, and I think they're underrated in this game too. It will be cagey, it will be quite tight, but as long as Scotland embrace the pressure and embrace the occasion, because it is a huge occasion for Scotland at Hampden first major tournament game in so long, with the crowd at your back as well. It is going to be emotional, but I trust Steve Clarke because he's been there and done it. He's got teams to play above themselves and upset the odds numerous times, masterminded big results at every club he's been at. But they have been helped, not just Kudla being suspended, but also his fellow centre-half, Shaluska. He's now 50-50 for Monday. Thomas Callas, who we know from the English game, would have been first reserve to fill in for Kudula, but he's been now had a knock as well in the warm-up games. So they're having a bit of a centre-back crisis at the moment in the Czech Republic. We don't know who is actually going to be fit and available for this match, but there's certainly an edge there for Scotland if they do kind of take the game to the Czech Republic. And as much as I laugh about him, but if Linden does come off the bench, there's a guy who's just going to run around and cause them absolute chaos in the last 20 minutes if they are either chasing the game or looking for a winner as well. So I do think there's a few things on side here for Scotland. Just home advantage at least. So, being outsiders in this game doesn't really stand up to me at all. So, I think both teams are well organised, energetic, competitive, but I do give Scotland the edge. Plus a quarter would have been the main play. Whether there is enough margin there, Sully, to get that at a decent price at 1.8 and above, probably unlikely right now. So I think Scotland on the nose at bigger than 2-1 is absolutely fair enough. If you did want to be slightly more cautious, the draw no bet is the obvious play. But I've got a good feeling for Scotland.
Yeah, just on that, Scotland with quarter, it's just under 1.7 and there's about 2% margin. So I don't know where it's going. Look, it may come back the other way, but for now, and just for integrity reasons, let's take Scotland, a draw no bet, which appears on the Matchbook site at plus 0.0. So obviously, it does what it says. In that sense, if it's a draw, you get your money back. I like that angle. And again, look, I mean, I don't think any of us are going to be turning anyone off at backing Scotland 3.1. And that price seems to be coming in at the moment as we record this as well. All right, Poland versus Slovakia. If you're watching our Anti-Post podcast, you heard some familiar thoughts about Slovakia. And Mark, I'll leave with you on this one. I did try to look around to see if I could back them at anything like under 2 goals or something for the tournament, and I just really couldn't get anything. So yeah, what are you going to do? But there may be an angle in this one. And the betting currently for this one, Poland, you can back at 1.87, Slovakia 5.6, the draw available 3.3, Slovakia getting a half a goal start at 2.08, and 2 is the total. All right, Mark. It's either, I presume it's either got to be Poland based or an unders, one of the two. Because I don't know if you're going to be going Slovakia overs in any universe.
Absolutely not. So yeah, Poland's were interesting, and I think that price could quite appeal to many people. My issue with Poland right now is I don't know what I'm going to get from Poland. Paulo Sousa's only been in the job since January. He was brought in to unlock Lewandowski's potential, and they played quite dreary defensive football for a few years, and I'm not seeing enough evidence to suggest that they've finally found a system that works. And not just that, there's key injuries as well. Piontek was ruled out before the tournament. Now they have Milik ruled out as well, who was going to play up front alongside Lewandowski. So basically 2 of the top 3 strikers are ruled out. Lewandowski's still there, but now the creative burden is massively on Zielinski to do more than he has done for the national team in quite some time. And they don't have the aerial option to sort of play off for Lewandowski either. So just a couple of concerns there, which I'd like to see before I kind of really commit. But I do think there is an opportunity to oppose goals under 2.25 at 177 around that price. Pays out a half stakes winner if exactly 2 goals are scored, which does appeal. Since Euro 96, 66% of first round games have seen this wager pay out some sort of profit. 5 years ago, it was 83%, just 2 of 12 games featured over 2.5 goals. And talked about Slovakia, the turgid style, the importance of Hamšík in that creative freedom role, but it's more about the system here, which is they're just going to pack the midfield, be very, very solid defensively. They don't give a huge amount away, and that's where their key players are at. Skriniar's had an outstanding season again in Italy. Lobotka in holding midfield. Kuka will do the box-to-box dogged work as well. So I do think Poland can and probably will edge it, but I just thought preferring a kind of opposing goals route here. And again, if you've got the option to sort of oppose first half goals as well, something that stands out as well. Half of the opening round group games 5 years ago were 0-0 at half time, and I think this is the kind of game which kind of suit that trend as well.
Adrian Clarke, one of your first lines on the Anti-Post podcast last week is who are we going to be backing unders? And this game had a big red line around.
Yeah,
it's the most obvious one, isn't it? 2.25.
I think so.
2.78.
Yeah, I think so. Although Poland drew 2-2, didn't they, in a friendly? I think it was last night, which sort of
friendly.
I honestly, I wouldn't take too much notice of friendly results. I've got a stat for you on this. Poland
Go
at the
for it.
Euro finals. At the Euro finals, Poland, going back to 2008, all 11 matches under 2.25 goals. So, I mean, they have history for being involved in boring games at this tournament. So, yeah, I think under 2.25. I think last time I looked at 1.78 is a great shout. I also like Poland 1-0. Obviously, if you want to speculate, for me, that is the most likely final score. Obviously, you get 6.2, I think, at the moment on Poland to win 1-0. So that's just something to consider.
Yeah, I presume Lewandowski will go off about as a 2.25 shot for first goal scorer as well. And the problem is, like, I mean, you watch this guy and he's breaking Gerd Muller's record in the Bundesliga, and then when he puts on that Poland shirt, we don't. And look, it's apples and oranges, isn't it? But I mean, like, he's supporting cast at Bayern and he's supporting cast at Poland, the two very different places.
His major tournament record for Poland is really poor. I think, off the top of my head, it's 2 major tournament goals for Poland across 3 tournaments, possibly 4. It's not great.
Yeah, absolutely not. All right, last game we're going to cover is on Monday night in Seville, and obviously there's a bit of COVID issues. We're still at that. And this one, and Adrian, I'll start with you, and let's talk about the betting first of all. You can back Spain here; they're short at 1.48. Sweden, you can back a 9.0. The draw available 4.45. Sweden getting a goal and a quarter start in the Asian handicap of 1.82, and 2.25 is the total, shaded towards the over. And Adrian, look, I touched on there's plenty of COVID issues here. This might be a tricky one. I don't know if Mark has much of an opinion, but right now, if there's a way in terms of the bet, what way are you looking? Yeah,
it's awkward, isn't it? Yeah, because there's a couple for Sweden that are out, and one of them is Kulusevski, who I know that Mark's hot on as a goal scoring player for Sweden. So that's a blow for them. Spain, Busquets is out, and I think Llorente, but I'm not sure he would have played anyway. No, I think goals. I think, I like goals rather than unders here. I actually like over 2 goals, over 2.25. I mean, stats-wise, Sweden have scored in their last 7. They're not the most boring Sweden side you've ever seen, and they've scored 2 or more in 5 of those games, albeit against not brilliant opposition, fairly modest. But what they have done, they've built up confidence ahead of this tournament, and by beating mediocre sides, they've got themselves going. When they've come up against a decent opponents, France, Portugal, Denmark, etc., they've conceded multiple times. So for me, Sweden will attack the game, but also be vulnerable. And I just really like Spain. I was hot on them in the pre-tournament show, tipping them up to go the whole way. 9 of their 12 games, 9 of their last 12 games on home turf, and this match will be in Seville. 9 of their last 12 have gone over 2.5 goals, Spain. And I like the vibrancy. It's young. It's a bit more, not direct, but it's a bit less keep the ball for an hour. It's a bit more, let's get the ball forward and start to cause them problems under Luis Enrique. And I like that about them. So I think Spain will be slightly more entertaining than many people suspect. So Spain, Sweden, over 2.25, 1.84. That would be my selection. But I fully understand that the COVID issues make this one a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, Mark, just on that, I know you probably have no play on this, but do you want to just touch on anything Adrian said there with the overs? And it's very tricky. We're recording this on Wednesday. The game is on Monday night, so there's a hell of a lot can happen in the meantime as well.
Yeah, it's very difficult to know. I came into this wanting Sweden plus 1.25 on side. I slightly disagree with Adrian on a couple of those points, but I don't want to sort of go against him significantly. I think Sweden will be more than happy to sort of sit and see, contain and counter. It's going to be pretty warm in Seville. I don't see them chasing Spain around the park. I think they'll be happy to sit in their own half and see what they can do. It's just such a shame that Kulusevski's going to be missing because he's such a great outball down the flanks, or even if he was playing up front, Svanberg as well. So it does curb your enthusiasm quite a lot. And the issue with Spain at the moment is the news we're getting is that basically players are training individually, and they're going to have to do that for another couple of days, and that's going to have a massive impact on their preparation. They are traditionally quite slow starters as well. We talked about that previously. So, it's difficult to have a real read on this. I think Sweden will just be ultra professional, superly organised. They are physical. They are reasonably aggressive as well. They are going to be dangerous at set pieces, but I think there's too many question marks for me to get really sort of involved here. I kind of wanted Sweden on the handicap, but that's just not a play right now. I think only 25% of opening group games have been won by a margin of 2 goals or more, going back to 96. So tight games normally kind of come out on top. So I'd kind of edge towards still Sweden and probably go unders in fairness, but more than happy to sort of rule myself out of this game at the moment.
Yeah, no, the fact that the training's been disrupted is a definite negative on Spain. That's not ideal. The under-21s played, didn't they, in their place in the last friendly?
Yeah.
I think
they've got a squad of 17 now, sort of training in reserve as a secondary bubble to play if the first team squad aren't allowed to play. So
it's not ideal, is it? That is for sure. But look, if they are good to go, they might have that element of freshness and enthusiasm, and especially on home turf where they are very strong. So it's one of those. You pick them here. Maybe leave alone.
Let's just put in the your initial lean there, Adrian, at 2.25, and that's 1.835 in fractional terms. And there's a lot can happen in the meantime, and let's double back maybe. I'll text you guys on Monday morning and see what the lean is there on that one. We have 10 bets in all, but before we get to best bets, I want to just do a very quick recap of the selections. There's a selection for each game. Again, some are stronger than others. The lads will give their best bets in a while. By the way, I'll call these out, but if you do want a recap of them, you can check out insights.matchbook.com from Wednesday afternoon. That will be available. So what we have first on Friday night with Turkey and Italy, under 2.25 or 1.85. The next game on Saturday, Wales, Switzerland, under 2 goals in Baku. It's a low one. It's 1.78. Denmark, Finland, Denmark to win and under 3.5 goals is currently 1.94 at Matchbook. Belgium to win and over 1.5 goals in St. Petersburg. It's good odds against price 2.15. And Sunday, England, Croatia, Wembley, both teams to score. Adrian strong on that at 2.23. The game after, Austria, North Macedonia, one for the purists. I would suggest North Macedonia getting 3/4 a goal start, and that's even money. Netherlands, Ukraine, the nightcap, which could be a better game, we think. 2.25. The overs on that at 2.0. Scotland, Czech Republic on Monday. Scotland draw no bet. Lads really like that one at 2.06. Poland, Slovakia, our easiest underplay of the whole slate at under 2.25 at 1.78. And we just mentioned it there, Spain and Sweden over 2.25 at 1.83. This will be on Monday night. Best bets, Mark O'Haire. What's it going to be this week, man?
There's a couple I do like. I think I'm just going to have to go tried and tested, and that's Denmark. I've loved watching this team over the last sort of 3 to 5 years evolve. Ireland have obviously played them quite a lot, so I've got to see them a lot as well. But they have grown in stature. Kasper Hjulmand has progressed them as a football team. They like to play a bit more on the floor. There's a bit more responsibility for other players rather than just Christian Eriksen. There's a strong spine to that team too. And just with the doubts around Teemu Pukki not being 100%, he can't be, considering it was a ligament injury just last month. So that kind of negates Finland's threat as well. So Denmark to win and under 3.5 goals, which is a slight odds-on shot. But as I said earlier, it's kind of covers 4 of the top 6 correct scores in the betting.
Adrian, your best bet for this weekend, man?
Yeah, I think that's very strong. That makes my top 2. That is for sure. But just for the sake of coming up with something different, I think my favourite would be Netherlands against the Ukraine to have over 2.25 goals there. Even money. I think that's a good shout. I think there'll be entertainment in Amsterdam and goals and maybe not some not so clever defending on show.
Yeah. That would have been nice to have that after the England-Croatia game, right? But they don't really care about that scheduling, of course. Okay. Good show, guys.
Stop slagging off Austria, Macedonia.
I know, man. I have to leave it go. It's going to be an absolute belter now. Absolute belter, I'll have to let that one go. All right, we're going to be back next Monday to cover next week's games. A lot covered on today's show. Adrian, Mark, my thanks to you guys as ever. Like I said before, check out all of these tips and our anti-post previews on insights.matchbook.com. Not just today, but throughout the tournament, all the tips will be up there as well, just in case you missed any of the show. And an absolute blast, guys. We did it pretty well, under 50 minutes, 10 games. That's pretty specialist. Good job, gentlemen. We'll be back next Monday, as I said. Until now, best of luck with your opening weekend Euro 2020 bets. Bye for now.